we're just heading through some of the bushland in the south coast down near Mogo that's been totaled by bushfire. Yeah. And as you can see, it's still burning. And up here, we have our first signs of life. So this is our first signs of life. We've been travelling through here for about 2 days. We've been checking out the bushland, and there's been nothing. And oh my god, this is our first kangaroo. He's burnt. Everything is just... Where? Stop! You need to come in the side.
I'll get him back to back. Don't let him go up.
Oh, I've got him. I've got him. Oh,
Watch him. Watch.
So we managed to get the goanna safely into the back of the vehicle. Then we shifted our focus towards the burnt kangaroo, which unfortunately were unsuccessful and had to return the next day. So we were having breakfast the next morning at where we were staying, and we stumbled across this little fella who had fishing line around his ankle. Now Ricardo quickly caught him and held him down while I carefully cut around where that string was to remove it off his foot. Now you can see where it dug in and was pretty painful to him. His back claw almost had no circulation and was turning quite purple. Anyway, we managed to get that off, and before he had that fishing line on, he was barely using it, and now we've taken it off, is a lot more movement, and he started putting pressure on it, which is great. So there you go, we put some antiseptic on it and fixed it up.
But that's why if you see fishing line, or if you're fishing, don't leave your fishing line out. Don't, always clean up after yourself, because this is what happens to our birds, our turtles, our wildlife. They get caught.
I got out the antiseptic and we dripped some antiseptic on it just to stop future infections. It's all we had, and he was ready to go.
You know what it is now?
Release time.
Say goodbye. You're not like me. 1, 2, 3.
Woo! And off he flies. G'day, it's Cameron here from Constance Conservation.
Ricardo here from Help Save the Wildlife and Bushlands in Campbelltown.
And Kira's at the back. We're actually driving out towards Mogo, going down some fire trails to have a look for some injured wildlife. So it's about an hour-and-a-half drive there, and that's where we were yesterday, and we picked up the goanna.
Did we pick up the goanna?
Or it picked up me. And anyway, we got it to Mogo Zoo where they were treating it for any burns or any injuries that it had. We also spotted a few roos out there. Ricardo can tell you about that.
Yeah, we spotted a few roos that look singed. One has a bad eye, very skinny, and we're going out there today. If we can see them, we're going to throw a bit of veggies and that out there for them. We'll get them treated if they can be treated. If not, well, we have to let them go up to God. But we'll do our best in saving as much as we can. And yeah.
So that's the plan for today. We're on our way. It's currently 7:30 in the morning. We got up at 6:30, so early risers for today, for this kind of trip. And every day we're going to be heading out looking for wildlife. So stay tuned, and I'll update you once we're there.
See you later.
See you later. We're just going to check a room that's been hit by a car on the road. See, because there's no food out here, a lot of the kangaroos and stuff are all coming this way to the roadside looking for new shoots, grass and water, and they're going to be crossing roads in search of food. So we're going to go check this room now, and Ricardo's got the proper safety gear to do it.
Sadly, we did see a lot of this roadkill on the trip down in the south coast, just because wildlife was moving out of those fire areas in search of food.
That's what you do. You stop, you pull over, you render assistance to the animal, dead or alive, check pouches. The cow's been checked, nothing's in there.
And if you don't feel confident enough to do it yourself, you can always give a rescue organisation a call.
So the cross is to indicate that somebody's pulled over and checked it, so no one else stops.
We're out here today, down a fire trail out near Mogo, and we're looking out here and over the burnt country. It goes for miles, it's completely blackened, and we're looking for injured wildlife, reptiles, anything we can find, macropods, birds, anything we're out here to rescue. Ricardo can tell you what we've got behind us.
Alright, just at the back here, when we came through yesterday, we saw a couple of injured roos, burnt roos. Just down the back there you can see there's a roo that's badly burnt on his legs and his tail as well. When he moves around, he doesn't move around 100%, so his pads on his feet must be really sore. Tranquilise it, we'll assess the situation. If it's repairable, he'll go down to Mogo Zoo. If not, we'll have to send him up to the big maker. But hopefully we can do something, but by the looks of him, he's really skinny as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so.
His feet and pads of his feet must be really worn and
infection
sore.
will get in, and then that'll eventually kill him as well.
It's just suffering. And the first cinch, he's skinny, and he's, as you can see, if you're zoomed out, you can kind of see the kind of lake down the bottom there. He's near a water source, so he's gonna be drinking. He's gonna be cooling himself off a little bit, and
but like we said before, like he's there trying to find any little sprouts as possible. But just over the side there's people have been feeding the wildlife with vegetables and all that sort of stuff. So why he's not up there eating, I don't know. But as you see him move a bit here and there, you can see that he's struggling to put pressure on those legs.
So we'll keep you updated and
Thank
he
you.
comes back. We're back, and obviously the kangaroo up where we were before has been euthanized. He had severe burns down on his feet and his tail, and his body condition was quite low. He was unable to retreat and get back to normal health. It would have been impossible. Anyway, we've driven down to another fire trail.
In the same forest, Mogo State Forest.
Different fire trail, and basically we've spotted a redneck wallaby just up past these trees. You can't really see him on the camera. Yeah.
We'll do a few checks. We looked at him. He had a bit of blackness on his tail, but not as bad as the other one. It looked like, if you could see, the whole ground is ash. So obviously it's going to wear off under the tails.
Yeah.
But I watched him just crawl away with his front paws like this, and I thought I'll go up and see if he starts to take off like a rocket. If he takes off like a rocket and I can't see any injuries, but that's okay. But to get away from me, he just kept going like that, a little bit quicker, and you can see that his pads are really hurting him.
We have help on the way to come check him out, and they will determine what his future's like and that sort of stuff. So obviously it's really sad to do this, and it's really heartbreaking, but there's nothing you can do, and that's why we're out here. Like I said, I mean, we're the first in this area. No one has come out in this area to check for wildlife at all. We're one of the first people going down these fire trails in this huge national park. We can't cover it all. So these sprouts, these green sprouts shooting up, it's got heaps of nutrients in it from the ash. It's all fertile now, and that's what creatures are going to be coming after. And I mean, obviously, anything in this forest would be pretty badly burnt. I mean, the fire would have gone so fast. Anything that survived here would most likely have injuries. And if you do have anything that has no injuries, they've obviously moved into urban areas that have been saved and then moved back out into the bush. We need to get out here, and we need to make sure animals are okay, because there's not a big support service for wildlife. So yeah, we'll give you an update once it's happened. G'day, we've just had the support team come down and check the roo, or the redneck wallaby down that was burnt, and his feet were all sore. He basically bounced off down into the bushland, and we went out to see if we could find him and search for him, and couldn't really see. Well, they did find him, and he was moving all right, and they said he was okay. He didn't look too bad, and he was too deep in the bush to get to anyway, but they thought he was all right to leave. So that's kind of the update what's happening. He'll hopefully be all right in the future. Stay keen. Yeah. G'day, it's Cameron here from Constance Conservation. I'm here with Help Save the Wildlife and Bushlands in Campbelltown. We're out here with a family. We're out here driving, looking for injured wildlife in the bushfires, and well, we just come across this family that are out. They lost their shed, and they've still got a home, luckily, but all their tools are gone, and yet to their own detriment, they're still out here helping our wildlife, cutting up all these hollow logs that have just been lost, and they're making possum boxes, bird boxes, and they're partnered with what energy group is it?
Essential Energy.
Essential Energy, to put them up all over the bushlands here for wildlife. Sam here can explain a bit about what she's going through and what's happening.
Hi everyone, this is Mogo on the south coast of New South Wales, and we've just lost a lot of wildlife around here. The trees have been incinerated. Unfortunately, the council and the energy company have to come along and knock down all the big old trees that are left because they're hollow and a danger. So we thought we'd come out and cut the hollow logs up and make habitat boxes, and Essential Energy have agreed to put these up in the trees while they're up with their cherry pickers, clearing the lines and putting the new lines up. So we're out here trying to make as many as we can. Our only tool left is the chainsaw. All our tools, all our sheds, everything burned down. So if anyone could help with making boxes or some sort of donation, Essential Energy are on board, and we need to give the animals something to come back to, because there's literally nothing.
If you see that tree right behind there, that used to be a home of a powerful owl. The tree used to be so high, so wide, beautiful hollow, gone. And that's the problem here. What sort of species do you have here?
We have yellow-bellied gliders, we have mountain gliders, we have red-tailed black cockies, we have yellow-tailed cockies, we have feather-tailed gliders, we have quolls, we have bandicoots, we have pythons.
Everything.
See, all that wildlife is here, and after these fires come through, it scorches the land. A lot of things can't outrun a fire. It's too quick, it's too, the heat is intense. Any possums and stuff that have retreated into their hollows just get cooked alive, and that's the harsh reality of it. So I want to thank all this family, all these boys out here doing a good job. So I appreciate it, we appreciate it. If we can all help, then we'll do our best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's day four of the wildlife rescue in the south coast, where we're going down. We're going around all the fire trails and the bushlands and pulling out injured wildlife and getting them the treatment they need. We're also, it's just devastated down here. It's the bushland behind me. This is someone's property, and they've lost almost everything they have. And the wildlife, and they're worried about the wildlife. And that's what we're trying to out here helping. We're helping the wildlife. We're looking at all the loss of the old growth trees. And our hollow bearing animals here in Australia is crucial. Most of our animals here in our forests are hollow bearing animals. Most of our frogs, reptiles, mammals and birds need hollows to survive. And it's crucial to their breeding and the populations and the plants here in the ecosystems. So we've been out here for about 4 days. We're down here for about just a bit over a week, helping out injured wildlife. That's the main goal down here. And now we've started day 4. We've started this next thing where we're going to be helping rejuvenate Mogo State Forest. We're camped in Lake Conjola. That's where our base is. But then we're actually coming out to Mogo, and our new goal is every morning we do drives for injured wildlife all around Mogo and into the burnt parts of dusk and dawn when wildlife's going to be out. And then over the next year, 2 years, however long it takes, our goal is to rejuvenate and regenerate and rebuild habitat for the wildlife living here in Mogo State Forest. We've partnered with Female Tradie, and we've also partnered with Essential Energy to help put out things like possum boxes, food and water stations. All this will be done on mostly volunteer work. So all of us are working off our volunteers, and it hits the heart to see the community coming together and businesses coming and supporting us and our volunteer work we're doing to restore the bushlands here and restore all the habitat here for the wildlife. So we're going to come out here. We've had so much donated. I'll show you that in a minute. Means so much to us. If you can help us out and support us with any materials for the bushland, it would mean the world. And thank you for the support, and it's everyone's support that they have today and supporting us, myself from Constance Conservation, and Ricardo from Help Save the Wildlife and Bushlands, means the world, and it's enabling us to do what we do with conservation and do what we do with the wildlife, to restore beautiful places like this, to do those wildlife rescues, to keep our rescue vehicle on the road. So thank you so much, and we'll keep you updated. Day 4, and we're hitting the big stuff, and this is where we're going to start our real work of the restoration.
So Female Tradie got out here and dropped off some supplies such as possum boxes and water stations just to get us going. It's all she had on her in her vehicle, and she was great. She went out here, she dropped this off to us at the property we're working on, and we partnered with her to help in the future keep building these possum boxes and water stations. As you can see, look how many we got dropped off. It meant so much. This was truly what was able to get us going with this habitat restoration. And Sam and the community was thrilled to have these, and we were just over the moon.
Animals take to these first. Yeah. So what we've done, we're going to cut them, and we'll see if we can transport them to your workshop or whatever, and we can, we're talking to Bunnings to get supplies.
Workshops here.
Yeah, we can.
And just cap them.
Top and
Well, obviously we'll clean them out, and then just put a hole in the side, and then that's it. We can strap those straight to the tree.
Yeah, cool.
And that's all natural.
Those ones are useful. We can get them up now and get things in there.
They're heaps good.
But we're probably, cool.
And that saves you resources as well.
Yeah, totally, of
So you
course.
can just
Top bottoms.
I agree.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I probably prefer to do natural stuff anyway.
And then
it
it's
makes
super-
sense. Even with the PVC, I
this is
thought
good to
like
get
we
out
keep
there.
pulling that out, you know,
Yeah.
kind of feel like, what, but I guess, you know,
Oh,
yeah.
it'll be better to let the natural stuff
And
down.
yeah,
yeah.
and if we can, and that's what we were doing, all the hollow trees they're knocking down, I thought,
We
let's
can
get
use them.
out
Do
there.
we have to clean,
Yeah.
is that we have to clean the inside
We'll
out?
just get a pole and you just. But
Okay.
they've got big ones, small ones, all different sizes. And then you get the.
There's
'cause-
massive ones still down there, big hollows.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Top up.
So,
So
because
we're-
animals take different sizes, you have your bigger brush tails, ring tails in
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
cockatoos even, yeah, your owls in
just
this
walk
one.
about boxes. The birds have only just started turning up.
Yeah.
everywhere.
Just cheering us
They're laughing,
We have now called Mogo State Forest our second home. Me and Cameron have set up a goal that we are going to stay in this area, obviously go home, but we're going to make this area back. Yellow belly gliders, sugar gliders, feathertail gliders, powerful owls, kangaroos, wombats, bird life, everything we are setting up now to get all this happening. Water stations, possum boxes, kookaburra boxes, that's why they're all happy. From female tradies. We just gave a call, within half an hour to an hour they were out here with some supplies just to get us going. They're going to help us with the natural hollows as well, so we can cap them, get them back out there as well. It's just amazing. What do you say, Cam? What do you say?
Honestly,
Just
to
a
see
phone
people,
call?
people band together is incredible. Yeah, we're going to start ringing around, seeing as much, see what we can get, and start the restoration works here in Mogo State Forest, where they have endangered species. And we want to thank the community, female tradies, Bunnings, anyone that jumps on
Yeah,
board
anyone
for
who
us.
helps us.
Means
This
a
is
lot.
our second home.
Yeah.
Mogo
So
State
long-term
Forest.
restoration works will continue. Giving me goosebumps because we're going to get this place up and running, wildlife packed, and we're going to restore it to its former health. G'day, so we're out here in Mogo, and we're driving past some of the really badly fire-burnt areas and communities, and have a look at this huge tree. It's absolutely massive. Like, I can't put my arms around. I can't even put around a quarter of this tree. It's huge. This stump is almost as tall as me standing up. It's just its width. This and it would have had beautiful hollows in it, as you can see in the top of the branches down that way. There's some really big hollows, and these hollows take hundreds of years to form, and it's just scrapped, cut down. It looks like, local parts have gone a bit excessive on the trees, but yeah, it's just massive. And that habitat is just decimated for future generations of wildlife. If you want to come down this way, look at this. I mean, it's pretty bad, and it could be fairly dangerous, but this was just full of hollows in here, hollows for wildlife, full of hollows for animals, and we've just come back, we've just been coming back from helping restore Mogo Forest and getting possum boxes up and talking with Sam, who's helping us now. Look at this. It just would have been, and things like our hawks and eagles would have nested up in these really, really tall old growth trees, and this stuff you can't replace. It's just not replaceable. It takes hundreds of years to form. Look at this, if I get up on this tree, look at it, it's huge. I'm dwarfed compared to this tree. This tree dwarfs me. It's massive. This tree is that big. Look, I'll hop inside it and I'll show you how big it really is. Look at this. This is how big this hollow is. That hollow just shows you how big this tree is. I sat in that. And these trees take hundreds of years. They don't rejuvenate in just 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 50 years. They take hundreds of years to grow, and this tree would, look at the stump of it, would take hundreds of years old. This tree would be. Just incredibly old, and it's just sad to see the things being lost in this fire, to see things being cut down because of hazards for people, and the loss on wildlife is just more than you could ever know, and it's not going to regenerate to its original state for ages, for at least 15, 20 years to get these hollows back again, natural hollows back again. It just takes too long. So the genetic and biodiversity we lose in these fires will be
Keep the hollows. That could have been cut.
forever lasting. It's really bad out here. It's much worse than we than we thought. We're still back out on these tracks. Look at it, this is the bushland we're in. We've just come back from meeting with Sam about restoring Mogo State Forest and putting up these possum boxes and restoring food stations, water stations, and doing you know, a lot of habitat restoration work out here over the coming months or year. So now we're driving down some tracks with the rescue vehicle, looking for wildlife to rescue, looking for injured wildlife and anything like that. And we've just spotted a roo down here that looks a little bit burnt, a little bit injured, and so we're going to get someone out to come take a look at him. Keep an eye out for the roo and all that, but I can't see the roo at all. If I spot it, I'll radio him. Can't see him from up here either. Yeah, it's too hard. Spotted him. He's out this way towards me. I'll keep an eye on him, walk up towards my way, but come out of the bushland because he's just coming towards the fire trail. All right, he looks okay. Well, it could be a separate one or it could be the same one. I don't know. But he's going quickly, and if he's going quickly, that's usually a good sign. Yeah, he's going down into the gully.
Am I right?
He's moving quite quickly, and he doesn't look like he's balancing on any like his tail or putting pressure on his front paws.
And later that night, after a very long day, we met this little fella right outside our cabin door, which was incredible.
G'day, so it's Cameron from Constance Conservation, and we're out here in Lake Conjola, and here we have a brush-tailed possum coming down. Look at it. As you can tell, it probably gets a lot of attention from residents around here. They bite, so I don't want to get too close to him. Now, it's a female, and she's got a joey. He just stuck its head out. She's got a little baby joey, and it's out here, and apparently the original owners said it lives in this tree. It's here frequently, and look at that, look how cute it is. Until it jumps on me. That would be a sight to see.
Beautiful, isn't it?
So that's incredible. And the wildlife here, as you can see, it's all coming back. It's got a little baby. She's real fat, which is great, which means she's been eaten. And we put some fruit out the other night, and it was gone by the morning.
Oh.
The apples and shit we put down the bottom.
Oh, yeah, down the bottom.
And it was gone by the morning, so now we know who the culprit is. This fella here. You got two types. You have the brush tail we have here, and we have the ringtail possum. Both are fairly big. This is the bigger one of the two. She's adorable. You see the little... Show us your jelly, huh? Sniffing around. And you know what? We were just sitting in doing some admin work, and we heard this scuffle on the deck, and we look outside, and this big brush-tailed possum is at the door.
Beautiful.
That's incredible. If you ever get the opportunity to see something like this, it's up close in the wild. It's actually amazing. And this is the work that me and Ricardo are trying to do to help save the wildlife and put up these boxes so animals like this fella here can can go back to the bushlands, can enjoy wildlife, and those old habitat trees that have been demolished, they get we rebuild those hollows for them to go back out into the bush, and hopefully animals like this Sheila can be right to return to the bushland, huh? We got a hello.
How beautiful. Always let animals sniff you. See?
And then
No
look
harm
for
at all.
it knows it's okay.
Look at her pouch.
If I were to move quickly, that's when.
It's going to climb around the back of the tree and then jump
If
on
we
the
can,
back.
yeah, if you can see its pouch, I didn't know it had a baby until just then. It showed its pouch and you saw the little furry bubs curl up inside, and oh
Yeah,
my god.
That's what we like to see.
It makes
Wildlife making... Oh, there she goes.
And there she goes. Alright, still travelling, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. We've been coming up this road looking for a kangaroo, which Essential Energy's team member or team out looking at the power lines told us to come by and check it. So really good on them. Can't find it. We did see a kangaroo back there earlier, but he looks pretty good. Absolutely scorched. I'll show you. This fire went through more than 2 weeks ago. It's still smouldering. It's absolutely crazy. We've done almost 2,000 kilometers out here, just looking for wildlife, injured wildlife, dropping it off at sanctuaries. It's heartbreaking. It rips me from the inside to see the country like this and see wildlife that hasn't been able to make it out. Things would have just, people said here that it was just an inferno. Alright, well, we're going to keep hitting the road. We're out on the fire trails, on the move again. Constantly moving, you might hear that a lot. This fire trail which we found goes straight into the heart of this bushland. We're not moving very fast, that's why I'm out. It gives me a better view of, you know, of the wildlife and animals that are around. Just looking around for any animals. Yeah, go straight into the heart of Mogo State Forest, which is great, so we can get into the middle of it. Any roos that were burnt that, you know, there's not going to be any attention around there. We can, you know, really see any burnt animals out there, and if they're injured, we can get them help. Still heading down these trails. There's not much. Everything would have been just incinerated, but if there is a chance of seeing any wildlife, this is the chance we're going to see it. We're going deep into the heart of Mogo State Forest, where the attention and the wildlife services aren't going to be. That's why we're heading there, because any wildlife that's injured out there doesn't have a chance of getting the help it needs, and that's why we want to get out there, see what we can find, see what wildlife is there that is injured, if anything is, and that's when we can get it the help it needs. If you find any good looking wildlife, that's a great sign that they're moving back into the area, and a great sign of regeneration into the bushlands. So stay keen.
So we were travelling down these fire trails and we stumbled across this little swamp wallaby down in the gully. From the distance we looked at, he was alright, which is great. Further along the track, we spot this big bloke, and here's what happened.
We're out here, look at this. This is the fella that got me. No, it's a different one. But look at this, we have a goanna, a beautiful lace monitor up on the tree. He looks alright, he doesn't look too burnt, but it's hard to tell because a lot of the burns might be under the body and on the feet. So first, second goanna we've seen out here. Yeah, like all the wildlife out here has been pretty well hard hit, but it's good to see any wildlife that's not injured. Like look at this fella here, he looks pretty healthy, pretty fat. Huge lizard. And obviously there's injuries that we may not know that he may have internally, like smoke inhalation and all that sort of stuff. He doesn't look too bad, a bit of flaky skin on his underside, but that can just be from that, you know, from him shedding and the ash on the ground has blackened him up. So look at that, it's great. Obviously, like I said, there's internal injuries which we can't know, but out in these fires it's great to see that there's wildlife like this fella still out here, and they're still looking pretty healthy, because out here, like I said, the fires, locals here said this was like an absolute, like an inferno. The one we picked up the other day was much smaller. He's huge. Imagine if he dropped on me. And all the wildlife we've seen has been too injured to save and release, and most of it has to be put down. This guy up here, a huge lace monitor, he looks absolutely great. He's got no injuries on him from what we can see, but he can still suffer from internal injuries such as you know, smoke inhalation, collapsed lungs, and sort of inside burns. But he looks pretty great. He's breathing all right. He's hissing to get us away, and he looks pretty alert. Now this is about as big as they get. They can probably get just a little bit bigger, and he might just be just over 1 meter long. He's huge from head to tail, probably about, what do you reckon, Ricardo? 1 meter and a bit? 1 meter and a bit, which is massive. And the one we thought we got last time and took to Mogo Zoo, we thought he was big. This one's much bigger. So you wouldn't want to, if you see him in the bush, don't get too close. Now if you are in the bush and you do get bit by one of these fellas, they carry a lot of bacteria in their jaws from the meat they eat. So what happens is, if you get bit, you need to go straight to a doctor or straight to a hospital and get antibiotics and get disinfectant on the bite or the wound. Even their claws can be pretty nasty. It's incredible to see that there's still wildlife moving and it's still healthy. And it also shows signs of food and regeneration throughout the bushland. So we'll keep on going and we'll keep you updated on what's here. And it's good to see this fella. Lace monitor. Woo! So we just basically saw 2 roos. Just wanted to go, there's more down this way as well. We just wanted to make sure that those roos weren't injured or laying down because they can't use their feet. So what we do is we park the car, walk down if they're up and they're alert, and are cautious. We don't get too close to spook them, just enough to make them see if they're alert, if they get up and move their legs. And then we can assess the situation from there. These 2 got up, alert, bounced away, nice slowly, not in a spookish manner, which is great. much more wildlife coming out now. Honestly, we're seeing so much come out through the bushlands over, because you know the fire has been over 2 weeks. Yes, parts are still smouldering, but we have new growth coming through. Maybe not quite here, but in other areas. Kookaburra. But in other areas, new growth is coming through, and that's what's attracting the wildlife back in. And other parts, so if we look down here, you might have a part that's burnt here, and you might have another section that's not. All wildlife will move from the burnt part to that section that's not burnt. But once the burning is stopped, that's too overcrowded. They're going to need to move out and come back. So some will get pushed back out, and this is now where we're starting to see an increase in wildlife sightings. All right, hit the road again. So as you can see, we have a nice creek, water course running down through here, but due to the fires, a lot of the ash gets washed down, especially we've had some strong rain over the past few days, runs down into the creek and fills the creek up, and what happens is it pollutes the creek really heavily with the ash, and any fire retardant, any chemicals that are on the land from that fire get washed straight into the creek, and any animals that can drink it can become quite sick. And any wildlife in it, you might see photos online as well where, you know, turtles and fish are washing up due to the ash and due to the pollution in the water. So it's really great to see that, you know, there's water in here, but you don't know how toxic or how healthy that water is. That's why these water stations people put out are absolutely great for the wildlife. Anyway, I thought we'd update you on the creeks, and but definitely a lot of wildlife would be around here because of that water source, and a lot of the new growth would be spurting up around that water source as well. This here we have a beautiful snake skin. Looks like maybe a brown. Yeah, looks like a brown snake. Hard to tell. I'm no expert on IDing snakes from their skin, but yeah, beautiful snake skin. This snake would have been, oh, this is his full length, so he wouldn't be that big, but he would have been. That's his head up here. You can see the head skin. But this snake, look at these under ribs. He would have been as wide as my thumb. Big snake. And this would have been only in the last week, because it would have been before, or I mean after these fires, because if the fires come through, snake skin wouldn't survive. Probably a bit of water around. Oh, swamp wallaby.
Cut into the front leg, does it?
There's another one down here. There's that one, and there's one down by the creek. Yeah. So we have a wallaby just up here that Ricardo spotted.
Oh yeah, come down here. Oh, he's going to move on. He's moving on.
So we have a wallaby just up in these, behind these trees. The cut tree down here. Two wallabies, two swamp wallabies. We don't want to scare him, because if he's injured and we can't see, then we lose him and that poor wallaby will suffer. He's still here. Stop, he's still here. So we're just tracking him up through the bush, and me and Ricardo just keeping an eye on him, making sure he's not injured.
Is he gone?
Kinda.
No, he's still there. Now he's up and away. He looks alright. He's making, like, he doesn't seem too injured. He seems pretty alert, and if they're alert, if they're moving,
there's food around here too.
Yeah, exactly. He's got heaps of food. He's got water, so he might be alright. So yeah, don't want to disturb him more than we have to. All right. So me and Ricardo pulled over, and this is the harsh reality of what fire would have been for animals. This is a big eastern grey, and the poor thing's just literally been burnt up.
Mummified.
Devastating. The fire was so hot, it's just its muscle strands and everything is just literally turned to ash. Out here, and this is what really is happening. Our wildlife doesn't get a chance to escape. A lot of it, the fire can move so quickly, things can just not outrun it. And especially if the fire is coming around from both directions or coming around from, you know, either side, bang, sweeps in and they get trapped. Not only that, but animals get tired. And you know what? Sadly, the poor thing, you know, got trapped, or the fire caught up to him, and this is what happens.
size of his claws. Massive.
Almost as big as my hand.
Mummified.
This is not only happening to kangaroos, it's happening to our possums, our sugar gliders, our endangered species, our reptiles.
We've got Barry here, we've got Sam here, we've got Cam here. Anyway, we're back here. Some
Bunnings has given us
donations.
some supplies.
Fantastic.
So we'll
Thanks,
give
Bunnings.
the supplies.
We're going to get those. Got basically marine ply so she can cap the boxes off. Bunnings has been nice enough to donate us on timber, drills, jigsaws, blades, screws, straps and tin snips and all that sort of stuff. A bunch of tools for us.
Also Sam.
For Sam. So
Yeah.
this is the supplies that Bunnings donates. A massive thank you to Bunnings for
Bateman's Bay.
Bateman's Bay for donating these supplies so we can help kick off the restoration program here in Mogo State Forest off. And we can help get the stuff. So we've got some stuff for
Tough
you.
to get you going.
Oh my god, this is unreal.
From Bunnings to Bateman's Bay.
Marine
Perfect.
ply and stuff.
So,
Oh, thank you, Bunnings, and you guys for organising this.
That's
so
alright.
there's 3 of those, so
Yeah.
you know what to do.
Perfect for the flight, yeah. Unreal, because they're coming this week, Essential Energy, so
Yeah.
I'll be able to have those ready.
Okay, you got something
So
to get
pop
ready.
up.
Yeah.
So we've got a drill, we've got a jigsaw,
A few different size nails in case you know, for different
Yeah,
size logs.
and a $20 voucher in case you need
Oh,
some more
unreal
stuff.
and good.
Yeah,
and
strapping.
the-
This works really well.
It's got the tin snip so you can cut it up.
We've got the
Unreal,
screws so you can
guys.
screw them
Thank you
onto the
so
tree.
much. Yep.
We'll go and look at a few boxes that
Fantastic.
Sam's already
Yeah,
put
come
up
and have
there.
a
Yeah,
look.
so these are the boxes that
Take
Sam
some
said she's
video.
put up already. So these are some of the boxes that Sam herself put up. Sam can talk a little bit about why she's
Camouflaged it.
yeah.
So there you
Gave
go.
it a bush reno.
That's good. That's great.
So we're here. We want a big shout out to Bateman's Bay Bunnings for donating us the gift cards to buy the essential needs that we needed
Yep.
to get these
Start.
hollow boxes up. Cam?
Yeah, so huge thank you. We couldn't, get the ball rolling without a lot of the big donations out there. So thank you for everyone that's helped support us and what we do and how we and to get this off and running. This is only the beginning, only get started, and obviously we have a lot more plans in place.
Yep. I'd just like to say thanks too, because there we were out on the road just trying to do something, cutting up the hollow branches, and really we would have been stuck because we didn't even have hammer and nails. And these guys and girls
And female tradies.
drove down the road, and we just happened to meet, and they told us what they were doing, we told them what we were trying to do, the fact that our shed burned down, we've got no tools, rah rah rah. They got in contact with other people, female tradie Penny,
Yep.
came all the way down here from Marrickville with these boxes. And so, within 2 days of meeting these guys, we've got stuff up, we've got water stations ready to go. And it's just great that, when stuff is starting to come back, and it will have something that it can actually look at or get
Yeah.
into, or...
So habitat will be there for wildlife to move back into. We've already heard some gang cockatoos and
Yeah.
Kookaburras the other day.
Kingfishers I heard this morning.
Oh, you saw a kingfisher the other
Yeah,
day
we saw
too.
the kingfishers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's slowly coming back. We need more rain to rejuvenate the trees that are here and get some grass growing and all the other stuff.
So these are basically, we're going to get a lot of these hung up around the bushlands with Sam's help and Essential Energy help, and then we're going to try and run some workshops along with Sam, because she's from the community, she knows the bushland well, and see if we can get hollow logs built and set up, because obviously they work, animals favour those, and see if we can get them up and distributed as well.
So we'll start here.
Yep.
We're not going to make miracles. We're going to start here and we're going to do it in separate stages. We've been out into the bushlands yesterday. Look at the videos, the previous videos. You'll see the devastation out there. Like we said, we were driving for hours and hours and hours. Saw 4 roos in all that time.
Yeah.
1 goanna, 1 bird of prey, a couple of little lizards, nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty much nothing out there for the distance we travelled. We should have seen a lot more. We've seen the poor deceased one that was burnt, but the rest are probably just turned to ash. And we're here to help. We're not going to give up. Obviously we're going back home today, but we've got a lot of admin work to do. We're going to get this ball rolling and pumping. We'll start off with Sam's property, and then we'll slowly move out.
So we can expand out throughout the state forest. As soon as we get council and other groups
Yeah,
on board, we
everyone
can
on board.
definitely get the permission to go further and hopefully restore larger areas of the national park.
And
So-
if anyone has essential energy coming to the area, you'll find they'll probably be more than willing, if you have some habitat boxes prepared.
Yep.
They are sick of seeing the devastation and having to cut down the last of the
Yep.
trees. So those guys need a lift as well, and they are just more than happy to put something up for creatures.
If you are in a local area, let us know, and we have more boxes coming, so we can definitely distribute them. We need the community's help to distribute them as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And save hollow branches. If you find any hollow branches anywhere,
Yep.
ask Essential Energy not to chip them, and the wood chipper guys not to chip them if they can just be set aside. And down the track we can organise people to come around and get them.
Yeah.
Because
Well, inboxes, if you see anything and you can cut up a hollow on the
Hollow
way,
logs, yeah.
inboxes and let us know straight away. We can tell you a drop-off location. I'm sure Sam wouldn't mind here, because then we could do some workshops from here. We could do everything. Let's just get it under control and get it going, and we'll be all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
you all. Thanks for your
Yep.
support.